Yo, what is up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about UFC 255, Figueroa versus Perez. Now, this fight card currently has 12 fights on it. The first fight of the night, we have Koski taking on Sasha Palantinov at welterweight. Then we have Kyle Daukaus taking on Dustin Stoltzfest at middleweight. Then we have Jouban taking on Jared Gooden at welterweight. Then we have another welterweight fight between Nicholas Dalby and Daniel Rodriguez. Then we have Antonina Shevchenko taking on Ariana Lipsky at women's flyweight. Then we have Joaquin Buckley taking on Wright at middleweight. Then we have Moreno taking on Royval at flyweight. Pretty much whoever wins that fight is probably going to be getting the next title shot against either Davidson or Alex Perez. So make sure to watch out for that one. And then that moves us to the main card where we have an absolute beast in Mauricio Hua taking on Paul Craig. This is the second time they fought. The last time they fought, their fight ended as a draw. So this fight should be a good second time around. The next fight after that between Kaylin Chukagian and Cynthia Calvillo. After that, Mike Perry, who honestly is gonna fail his weight cut, to be honest, taking on Tim Means. I wouldn't be surprised if this fight gets moved from welterweight to a catchweight bout at like 175 or 180 because Mike Perry, I mean, you've seen the videos. He's just eating burgers, eating pizzas, eating I don't even know what he's eating, but he's not taking his weight cut seriously at all. So I don't know how he's supposed to get down to 170. I mean, there's a possibility he can do it, but I really don't think so. I think this fight will be moved to a catchweight bout at 175 or 180. Now, the next fight after that, the co-main event of the evening, we have arguably a top 5 women's fighter of all time in Valentina Shevchenko taking on Jennifer Maia at women's flyweight for the UFC flyweight belt. And then in the main event of the evening, we have Davidson trying to defend his belt for the first time against Alex Perez for the UFC flyweight belts. This fight card should be absolutely amazing. I don't know what people are thinking. Some people think, oh, this fight card is not going to be that good. Maybe just because the main and co-main event are flyweights. But still, look down the list. Mike Perry, Kaylin Chukagian, Cynthia. I mean, come on. There's so many good fighters on this fight card. So yeah, let's get into the video. Alright, so the first fight of the night between Koski and Sasha Palantinov. This is a welterweight fight. Koski is currently 7-0 with absolutely no losses. Sasha Palantinov 5-2. I mean, Koski, he's a huge favorite to win this one. Minus 370. Sasha Palantinov plus 295. Koski is smaller, has a smaller reach. He is younger though. And if you look at his past wins, I mean, bro, this dude is a knockout artist. You look at the past couple of wins that he's gotten. First round, a left hook knockout over Victor Reina at the Contender Series. First round knockout, first round knockout, first round guillotine, first round knockout, first round rear naked choke, and first round knockout. I mean, this fighter has never gone all the way in a fight, and I don't expect this one to as well. Sasha Palantinov doesn't really have the best chin. His second to last loss was against Munir Lazez, and it was a knockout loss, so he doesn't have the best chin. So if Koski can go out there and take advantage of his very weak opponent in his UFC debut, I have no problem Koski will win this fight by knockout in the first or second round. Alright, so the second fight of the night is between Kyle Daukaus and Dustin Stoltzfest. Now, Kyle Daukaus, as you guys know, he was undefeated at 9-0, but about 4 months ago, he ended up taking a very good fighter on in Brendan Allen on short notice, but lost the fight by unanimous decision. Some people actually thought Kyle Daukaus won that fight, and as you guys know, Brendan Allen is a top 25 fighter at middleweight, top 20 fighter actually at middleweight, so he almost beat a top 20 fighter at middleweight. I mean, Kyle Daukaus is ranked 62nd at middleweight worldwide. That fight against Brendan Allen was his first fight in the UFC, so he just needed to get that experience off his chest. Dustin Stoltzfest, 13-1. His only loss was early in his career by unanimous decision. Since then, he's come back, went on the Contender Series, got a first-round slam knockout over Joseph Pyfer, comes in here and fights Kyle Daukaus. Honestly, Kyle Daukaus, I think he's going to be way too much. In his ground game on that Brendan Allen fight, I really think he showed that he has really, really good grappling. We all know his striking is very, very good as well, but he tends to tire out a little bit on the feet. So he definitely has that safety net to, if he wants to go to the ground, he could definitely do so at any time in the fight and go for some submissions. He could definitely get a submission in this fight, but I think this is a decision win for one of these guys, and I think Kyle Daukaus is just way too well-rounded, and I think he'll win the fight by unanimous decision. Alright, so this next fight between Alan Jouban and Jared Gooden, honestly, in my heart, I am thinking Alan Jouban will probably win this fight. I think his striking is a little bit better than Jared Gooden, but he is the minus 135 favorite, so a slight favorite. Jared Gooden, 17-4, 26, 27 years old. Alan Jouban, 38, almost 39 years old. This could be a underdog of the night, honestly. Jared Gooden, plus 115. He's not that big of an underdog, but I definitely think Alan Jouban's striking is a lot better, and he has much, much more power than Jared Gooden. Jared Gooden can definitely go out there and get a decision win over Alan Jouban, but in my heart, I do think Alan Jouban, a top 60 welterweight in the world, will win the fight by unanimous decision, but don't sleep on Jared Gooden, guys. This underdog can go out there, and he could shock the world, guys. He could get a unanimous decision win here, but yeah, I'm going with Alan Jouban to win the fight by unanimous decision. Alright, so this next fight is a very, very good fight between Nicholas Dalby and Daniel Rodriguez at welterweight. Now, Nicholas Dalby, this guy, he's been on a little bit of a streak before his last loss. He started in Cage Warriors, got a second round knockout, third round knockout, fourth round knockout, third round no contest, got inside the UFC, got a unanimous decision win over Alex Oliveira, and then lost that fight to Jesse Ronson by first round rear naked choke submission. Jesse Ronson was a huge, and I mean huge, underdog to win that one, so everyone was shocked when Jesse Ronson, a veteran fighter, went out there and won that. Earlier in his career, he ended up joining the UFC back in 2015, got a decision win over Elizeu Zaleski, got a draw against Darren Till, who was undefeated at the time, and then went on a 2-fight win streak inside the UFC, left the UFC, did that Cage Warriors run, and went back in the UFC. Honestly, I think he's a little bit out of it right now. He did get those 3 losses to Zach Cubics, Peter Sabata, and Carlo Pedersoli. And then this most recent loss to Jesse Ronson, who, come on. Jesse Ronson, this guy's ranked 66 at welterweight worldwide. Nicholas Dalby's ranked 41st. I don't know how he lost to Jesse Ronson. Daniel Rodriguez, he is definitely on a streak right now. He went on the Contender Series back in 2019, got a unanimous decision. Went out of the Contender Series, got a second round knockout. The UFC was like, all right, we'll bring you in. He got a second round guillotine over Tim Means, a unanimous decision over Gabe Green, and then a first round knockout over Dwight Grant. This dude is on a streak, and I think he will keep winning and win this fight by unanimous decision. Alright, so this next fight is between Antonina Shevchenko and Ariana Lipsky, a women's flyweight bout. This is probably one of the closer fights on this fight card. Antonina Shevchenko isn't really doing that good lately. She went on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2018, got a second round knockout, went on The Ultimate Fighter, got a unanimous decision over Ji-Young Kim, and then joined the UFC for real and lost a split decision to Roxanne Modafferi, came back with a second round rear naked choke submission, and then recently lost a dominant unanimous decision to Caitlin Chukagian. I'm not really sure if Antonina Shevchenko will come back with a win tonight. Ariana Lipsky is on a 2-fight win streak. She lost 2 fights before that to Joanne Calderwood and Molly McCann, both by unanimous decision, but came back with a unanimous decision over Isabella De Pauda and a first-round knee bar over Luana Carolina. Honestly, I do think Antonina Shevchenko can come back with a win on Saturday, and I think she'll win the fight by unanimous decision. Alright guys, so the next fight on this fight card is between Joaquin Buckley and Jordan Wright. Now, as you guys know, Joaquin Buckley in his last fight ended up knocking out undefeated Impa Gazanganai with one of the best knockouts in MMA, mixed martial arts, any combat sports history. Jordan Wright, 11-0, had 1 fight in the UFC, which he beat against Ike Villanueva because he got a cut on his eye. Now, Jordan Wright is an undefeated fighter, but he has not faced that good of competition. Joaquin Buckley, on the other hand, he actually did pretty good against Kevin Holland in his second to last fight. He had a pretty good run inside the LFA and inside of Bellator. Got 2 wins inside of the LFA, both by knockout in the first and second round. Lost that fight to Kevin Holland, and then obviously got that second round knockout. I'm very confident in Joaquin Buckley to win this fight. Maybe by knockout. It's very, very possible he has to win by knockout in this fight. If he gets to win by knockout in this fight, I'm projecting it'll be in the second round. But if he doesn't get the knockout in the second round, I think this fight will go to Joaquin Buckley by unanimous decision. Alright, so the next fight after that, the last fight on the prelims between Brandon Moreno and Brandon Royval, two Brandons. Brandon Moreno, 17-5-1. He's on a pretty good win streak right now. He ended up losing his earlier fights inside the UFC to Sergio Pettis and Alexandre Pantoja, both by unanimous decision. Came back with a fourth round knockout in the LFA. Got a split decision draw against Askar Eskrov, and then got two unanimous decisions against Kai Kara France and Jussier Formiga. Now, Brandon Royval, he is getting some nice wins recently. He's on a 4-fight win streak, two of them inside the LFA by submission armbar and by submission armbar. Two submissions inside the LFA. Got in the UFC, got an arm triangle choke submission over Tim Elliott, and then got a guillotine choke submission over Kai Kara France. I just don't think he'll get a submission in this one. Brandon Moreno, he's just way too well versed in the striking department. I think he'll dominate the fight on the feet and win the fight by unanimous decision. And that leads us to the main card, where we have Mauricio Hua taking on Paul Craig. This fight should be good. Mauricio Hua, obviously 27-11-1, absolutely amazing fighter, top 10 light heavyweight fighter of all time. He lost that fight to Anthony Smith, my first round knockout in 2018. Came back with a third round knockout, got the draw against Paul Craig by split decision, and then got a very close split decision win over Antonio Rogerio Nogueira. But just the fact that he got a split decision win over Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, that close of a fight against a guy that just retired. I mean, Paul Craig, he is much younger, 32 years old, almost 33 years old. He's also on a nice win streak right now over Vincius Mojera and Gadzimura Vantigulov. I think that Paul Craig will have no problem beating the veteran in Mauricio Hua, maybe by submission, but I think this fight will go all the way. And I have Paul Craig winning the fight by unanimous decision. Alright, so after that fight, we have a very, very good women's flyweight fight between Katlyn Chookagian and Cynthia Calvillo. Katlyn Chookagian is ranked third at flyweight. She's 14-4. She's lost two of her last three. One win over Antonina Shevchenko, and then two losses to Valentina Shevchenko and Jessica Andrade. She's also beaten people like Jennifer Maia, Joanne Calderwood, Alexis Davis, Irene Aldana, Maria Barella. Lost a split decision to Jessica Ai earlier in her career. Cynthia Calvillo just came to flyweight and absolutely dominated Jessica Ai. And she just looked really good in that fight. And I predict she's going to look very good in this fight as well. And I have Cynthia Calvillo winning this fight by unanimous decision. Alright, so the next fight after that one, we have Mike Perry taking on Tim Means, and I'm not very confident in Mike Perry winning this one. If I were you betting on this fight, I would really stay away from it, because Mike Perry, minus 145 favorite, his career is just so up and down. He joined the UFC, I believe, back in 2016, got two knockouts in a row over Hyung Jim and Danny Roberts, lost that unanimous decision to Alan Jouban, got a second round knockout, first round knockout, lost two unanimous decisions to Santiago Ponzinibbio and Max Griffin, came back with a split decision over Paul Felder, lost a fight to Donald Cerrone, came back with a unanimous decision over Alex Oliveira, and then lost those two fights to Vicente Luque and Geoff Neal. Very, very good competition, and then got that co-main event spot against Mickey Gall and won that one. Tim Means, also a sort of up and down guy. He's a veteran fighter inside the UFC. Back in 2017, lost that fight to Alex Oliveira. Came back with a decision win over Alex Garcia. Lost two fights, both by split decision, to Bilal Muhammad and Sergio Moraes. Got a first round knockout, lost a first round knockout, came back with a first round guillotine, lost his second round guillotine, and came back with a unanimous decision. Honestly, it all depends on if Mike Perry makes his weight cut, because if he does and he feels really, really good, I think Mike Perry, if he feels good, that's literally the only thing I'm basing this on, because Mike Perry, when he feels good, he is an absolute monster. He goes out there and tries to knock you out. I think he'll feel good. I think he'll make that weight cut. But I don't think he'll get a knockout in this fight. Tim Means, he's a veteran fighter. I don't think Mike Perry will get a knockout in this fight. I think this fight goes all the way. And I have Mike Perry winning this fight by unanimous decision. Alright, now we go to the co-main event of the evening. And all I have to say is Valentina Shevchenko, TKO, fourth round. Oh my god. Sorry. Let's go through this a little bit. Jennifer Maia, a little bit of an up and down career. Plus 850. Huge underdog. She joined the UFC in 2018, lost her first fight with the promotion by unanimous decision to Liz Carmouche, got 2 unanimous decisions over Alexis Davis and Roxanne Modafferi, lost a unanimous decision to Caitlin Chukagian, and got a first-round armbar over Joanne Calderwood. Valentina Shevchenko, I mean, come on. Second round rear naked choke submission over Priscilla Cacohera. Unanimous decision over Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Second round HKKO over Jessica Ai. Unanimous decision over Liz Carmouche. Third round a TKO over Caitlin. I mean, she's dominant. She's just a dominant champion. Valentina Shevchenko is going to dominate and win this fight. Come on. And that leads us to the main event. This fight is a little bit closer than people think. Alex Perez is very, very, very underrated. He's fought in 3 fights in the last year and a half against Mark De La Rosa, Jordan Espinosa, and Jussier Formiga. Pretty good competition, I have to say. But none of them are really up at that level of Deiveson Figueiredo. I mean, Deiveson Figueiredo only has that 1 loss to Jussier Formiga, and has absolutely dominated every single other opponent he's faced. He has a huge reach advantage. He has so much power. I have Deiveson Figueiredo getting a knockout in the 3rd round. I'm sorry, Alex Perez. Deiveson Figueiredo, he's just way too powerful of a flyweight. He's going to go out there and dominate this fight and get a knockout in the 3rd round. All right, those are my predictions. I have Deiveson Figueiredo, Valentina Shevchenko, Mike Perry, Cynthia Calvillo, Paul Craig, Brandon Moreno, Joaquin Buckley, Antonina Shevchenko, Daniel Rodriguez, Alan Jouban, Kyle Daukaus, and Louis Koski winning their fights at UFC 255 at Figueiredo versus Perez. If you like this video, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe. I'm out of here.